So I hope I know what I'm doing here. It has been a while after all.
Careful. Only things you'll find in the ruins are liable to shoot you or eat you. Or both. Here we go!
a Mantiqueen showed up, then Raptidons. It was a void-blasted mess. I ran in here and, now the door's locked. Little help? It's easier than it sounds, alright? Next time you get chased by Raptidons, you let me know the rationality of your decisions. Phew. Thanks, lady. My buddy had a key, but I ain't heard him in a while. He locked me in here and took off. Probably got munched. So look for a dead guy, I guess. Or a rat. Maybe it's in a rat belly. Gross. Sure. Beats not answering questions. Huxley. I'm an Iconoclast runner. The Iconoclast runner. Fastest we've got. Ain't a Raptidon on this void-forsaken hellhole that can catch me. I'm... Sorry. Put me in a tiny room like this and I'm liable to flip. Not keen on tight spaces, you know? Oh, that'd be my people. Graham and Zora and Milton and... My buddy locked me in here. But, I mean, okay. Damn it! What do you mean? Wait, upward? Oh, my eternal soul, it worked!
Ah, phew. Thank you so much. It was getting all stuffy in there, and I was getting a mite lightheaded, and I think maybe I was gonna die. Now I'm out here, and I'm headed back to Amber Heights.
Still landing yourself in trouble, eh, Hux?
Oh, hi, Nyoka. You mind giving me an escort back home? Oh, you're traveling with someone. Never mind. Oh, sure, I'm a runner. I'm used to getting all dizzy and... Hey, who's your identical, slightly blurry friend? Thanks a lot, lady.
Anoka, you're a sight right now, I'll tell you what. We are up a creek.
I bet. You really come this far north for a printing press?
Yeah, I know, but that's the mission. Don't suppose y'all are busy right now.
Thanks, but I ain't sure the mission is worth it.
You keep spewing that sulfur, I'm liable to leave you to the rafts. What my well-meaning idiot of a brother intends to say is, we appreciate the assist.
It's a lost cause. Going back there would be suicide.
What'd I just say, August? We ain't abandoning our mission. That said, we ain't in a state to help either. We gotta find our medic, get back to Amber Heights, and plan a proper approach. Any luck out there? Oh, fuck. Well, that's better than nothing. Thanks. We'll head out as soon as we're patched up.
How'd you do that so fast?
Libations on me, folks. That was fun.
Their mistake. Don't mess with us.
If you'll just listen...
No, no more listening, no more preaching. We are losing people left and right. We need to act.
Enough, Zora. I'm not putting the torch to innocent people. Do you want to bring the board's cruisers and gunships down on us? Captain, apologies, but our situation grows dire. Our people talk of foolish endeavors. What news do you bring? They are armed all the same. All they need is a good reason, and war is one such reason. Excellent.
Did you find the Vanois? Thank the Eternal.
We're one step closer to bringing the truth to every man, woman, and child in Halcyon. For now, you can tell Hiram that I'll stop using Devil's Peak. From the pits of our eternal souls. Thank you, Captain. I have much to do. Articles to write, sermons to ponder. We live in such an exciting time. Let's talk later.
Hey, I need to see to the wounded, but drop by the clinic when you can. I want a word. Hey. Hey, Captain. I need your help, and we ought to keep it hush-hush. You know about what happened here, right? The history of Amber Heights?
You're talking about the massacre. Back when the Corps were pulling out, pirates raided the place and killed the MSI bigwigs living here.
Right. Common belief is that the pirates fled to an old relay station that had already been abandoned, but nobody could find them. The station's locked up, but one of my people found an old data cartridge in a nearby rat nest. It's mostly corrupted, but I pulled a couple codes off of it. One is the code to the Amber Heights gate. I don't recognize the other, but it's similar. I bet it opens a door. Graham isn't fond of talking about the history here. He had friends who worked here. The massacre hit him pretty hard. You know him. Live and let live and all that. I don't want to burden him right now, especially if this ends up being a dead end. I know it's a long shot, but if we miss something there, if you can get into that station, maybe we can get some answers. Right. The access codes to Amber Heights. What gets me is, if this belonged to the pirates, that means they knew someone there. If someone gave them the gate code, all those deaths, Captain, all that blood is on their hands. I surely do, but it's not far, and if they died in there, they died with their munitions. We'll need them. Besides, if it's filled with valuables from the aristocrats who lived here, we can pawn them off on Sublight and get ourselves ahead on our food budget. Just a warning. The area's infested with mantisaurs. I'd send some help, but we're, preparing for war. Appreciate it. Here's the code. If it works, bring back anything you find. Supplies are best, but information's good too. If someone was behind the Amber Heights massacre, it'd give a lot of people around here some closure to find out who and string them up. Good luck. Watch out for the Taros.
All I'm saying is it ain't worth it. It's gonna taste like sulfur all the same.
Looks like I'm not the only new face around here. What do I call you, stranger? Welcome to Amber Heights, Captain. Call me Tucker. You here to join the Iconoclasts? Help us free this world? I am not a little boy. Haven't been one for decades, no matter what my mama wishes. I take it she's still looking for me? I'd hope she'd accept my decision. According to her, stepping foot outside of the house in broad daylight is too dangerous. My entire life, she crammed a fear of danger down my throat. Don't go play with friends. Mantisaurs will tear your arms off. Don't leave the city. Raptidons will spit acid on your face. Marauders can violate you. You'd fall in a sulfur pool. I stuck around way too long, ruled by her fears. I'm 42 years old, but she still sees me as a little boy in need of her protection. I won't stand for it, I tell you. Stars, I don't know. My mama's a stubborn woman. She won't quit until I'm dead. You know, that might just work. You go back and tell her you found my body beside the road, all mangled and tore up. If she believes me dead, she won't look for me no more. I hate to think of her grieving, but it'll be good for her to move on. In the long run, you know? I'm plain out of ideas then, Captain. No, that is not gonna Stellar Bay is not my home. Not anymore. I finally found the space to breathe, and that's here in Amber Heights. I don't. I know it sounds... I'm plain out. What in the nebula is wrong with you? She's an old woman. You'd threaten my flesh and... That was not... I'm...
I guess I'll take care of this later. Not persuaded him yet.
this mountain, you can see so much from here. So many beasts would need killing, so many drinks would need drinking.
I've got to do more cardio.
Raps. Let's clear this sulfur-sodden fucks out so Hayes can rest in peace. To shreds, you say?
Hey guys, hey guys.
Hayes was the best self-sacrificing son of a saint I ever met. Halcyon is worse off without him. Now, if we're gonna lure the Manta Queen out, we'll need to find Rebecca and Anders. They took a UDL contract on Terra 2. We never heard from them again. Think it's time I call in a favor with Hiram. If anyone can track them down, it's him. I don't know much about it. It paid well, so they took it. They said they'd be back in a couple of weeks, and that maybe we could all use the money to get off Monarch. That was a long time ago. I should have. I really should have. But soon after they left, Hayes and the others died. And to be honest, after him, I stopped trying. Because it hurt like hell to do so. Well, shit, I'm working on it, all right? You think I like lying awake at night? You think I like stewing on the... I'll get there. Quips from you ain't gonna help. Now, come on. Let's make...
Velma seem out of sorts to you?
Time for a round of whist. Or a round of whiskey. Or both.
Drinking, gambling, and organized crime. Everything you need to keep civilization running.
You seen Arthur today?
Uh-huh. You blind, little bird? Or can you not see I'm busy? Why is it every sissy pig fucker who strolls into my town expects me to smile and shout awful friendly? Welcome to Fallbrook. Only nugget of paradise in this entire law-forsaken land. Like a void damn advert.
I'll bet she's a hoot at parties.
Truthfully spoken, I do aim to properly represent my aforementioned nugget of paradise. You know, I ain't heard that one before. Suppose I'll have to work harder to show you just what makes our town shine. But first, I'll need to know what brings you, stranger. Well, I'm half listening. Good of you to finally haul your ass over here. I wired for backup weeks ago. Got something that's gonna require special extraction from Cascadia. So you got a brain on them shoulders. Excellent. Makes my life a world easier. To extract the gas, you'll need to siphon it from the lab in Cascadia into one of your ship's fuel tanks. Totally safe. Do I look like one of them egghead signs? But it's a controlled commodity, available only to the board, so it is of high value on the dark market. Meaning safe for me and my crew, seeing as it ain't us undertaking the risk. I do like your gumption. To get to the gas, you'll need to navigate through. The lab itself has become an infested nest, crawling with manties. You gotta fight through or figure out.
I'm a doctor, not a vet. But what's the worst that could happen?
I shall leave the details to you. Now, after you clear the mantis nest and reach the storage room, all that's left is to get the gas flowing into the fuel system. The task will require someone with technical skills, or you could force it through with a plasma overload. Don't recommend that option, though, unless you want to get dead. Got a vicar as your hacker? Men of the cloth never do cease to amaze me. Bright as a newborn star on the outside, blackest of holes within. Once you've got our goods, take them to the groundbreaker. Lilia's fencers ought to handle the rest of it. I've marked the coordinates for you to the lab in Cascadia. Use the passcode Antediluvian on the terminal to get in. But before you make your run, I could use a heavy helping hand regarding a local issue. For a fine fee, of course. Good. This particular matter of opportunity has been eating at me for a while now. There's a Borst factory on up the way, run by a man who calls himself the King. Clive Lundberg, insufferable prick. That aside, it's a business ripe for the plucking. I want it. Clear as that. Stars, I hope so. Clive Lundberg, the self-proclaimed Borst King of Monarch, is swimming in profit and drowning in his ego. He's making the only meal to be had this side of Monarch, and I'm tired of ponying up for my dinner. I want that Borst factory, owner dead or alive. And you're the soon-to-be handsomely paid fucker who's gonna get it for me. Kill him, run him out. I don't rightly care for the details, so long as Clive knows resistance to me is costly and futile. Hit him where it hurts. In his gut, or his production lines ought to make do. Then I'd say you might care to poison the cysty pigs, doctor a few financial records, or throw a wrench in the canning machinery. Sometimes the simplest solution is the sweetest. I don't give. It'll be more than good when you're finished. Maybe not for Clive, but for me and you, I'm sure. Oh, and if you don't fancy going in guns blazing or crawling through a sewer pipe, see Duncan in the dry goods and sundry building. He ought to have an employee ID in that stash of illicit goods he keeps for select clientele. May luck be with you, since I won't be.
Now there. There's a woman who knows what she wants. I like her.
She's fine. Well, so long as you ain't on her bad side. Then she's liable to drown you in the waterfall.
Take a gander at that mug. I ain't ever seen someone so adept.
He means gullible, Captain.
Watch yourself, Captain. This guy's got eyes like a sprat set on stealing your dinner.
Ah, now, come on. All I mean is, well, rather that, you don't seem like the usual pigeons we pluck. No offense. Say, I'd like to do you a favor. Might I interest you in a surefire scheme? Wink, wink. I certainly hope you're not insinuating the problem is me. I mean, that would... If there's any issue, really, you should talk to her. She's straight... Pure and simple, it's like this. I run her drug... Too right you are. Only problem is my sprat carriers ain't a... As I was saying, you look more... In return... 35%? Are you... If I wasn't recovering from a bout of Morgellons, I wouldn't stand for this. But things are what they are, so... I'll agree. My sprat carriers scurry back and forth through the shipping tunnels. Any trail ought to...
Well, new business turns up at last. Celia, didn't I tell you our new statistics-based advertising model would be a hit?
That you did, sir.
How can yield improvements of 26.7% not quicken the pulse? How can 32% cost savings not moisten the loins?
You've often posed these very questions.
Clear my schedule. This newcomer has a meeting with me. Celia, will you make a note of that for my self-review? Very generous.
Noted.
But not so generous I can't drive a good bargain. Now, who sent you? Rizzo's, perhaps? Or Auntie Cleo herself? Oh. I suppose that means you aren't here for the Saltuna. Now, there's no need to humor me. I'm used to this particular letdown. I had hoped that livening up our advertisements with enticing figures would draw the other corporations back to our bosom, but it seems we're back to the drawing board. Surviving alone isn't as easy as it looks. Thanks to the so-called hazard clause, Monarch has been cut off from the board's resources and protection for 10 years now.
So-called is right. We've got our hazards, but we're still here, damn it. The board took off without so much as a thought for the folks left behind.
And now you don't have to play by their rules. Sounds like a deal to me.
Well, we've kept ourselves in business by trading with individual corporations, but given the off-the-books nature of those transactions, such arrangements are precarious.
Exactly what I would have said, if I'd been paying attention.
I can tell your iconoclast friends have left their mark on you.
Freedom always sounds nice, doesn't it? It makes a rather pretty slogan. But if you sit down and tally up the costs, how you provide for yourself in the absence of aid, how you protect yourself from a hostile galaxy, it starts to lose its shine.
Well, Mr. Nandi here has a rather ingenious plan to get MSI restored to the board.
On our terms, mind you.
A lot of good that'll do. They'll just find another reason to turn tail and abandon you.
Not if we secure the proper safeguards first.
And if our advertising scheme hasn't borne fruit, then perhaps it's time we took matters into our own hands.
It's true, our Celia is an alarmingly competent middle manager. At any other company, she'd be wasted in data entry. The plan she refers to is a two-pronged approach, and the first part involves seeing Stellar Bay properly defended. With a Bolt 52 cartridge, of course. If you can get us what we need to rejoin the board, starting with the Bolt 52, we won't need to advertise anymore. We can stop our transmissions altogether.
And you'll have a powerful ally on the board.
Oh, yes. I'm going to be up all night with this. All those blanks waiting to be filled, boxes waiting to be ticked.
Try to control yourself, sir.
Have you any idea how powerful this is? Corporations have been toppled with less. What a question! Bureaucratic micromanagement is the only way anything gets done in Halcyon, and proper documentation is a key part of that. For our part, a bill of liquidation/transfer Form 52 will protect our holdings on Monarch by temporarily assigning them to a pass-through entity once we drop our bomb on the board.
What Mr. Nandi means is that we have some rather momentous information to deliver to the board. Or we will, with your help.
Help us with this final matter, and we won't need to broadcast anymore. You have my word. I have reason to believe that one of the other corporations is operating on Monarch, illegally and in secret.
Those bastards. Leave us to our perils, then come back just to reap what they can.
If we can find proof, I can use that as leverage to encourage certain powers that be to accept our Bolt 52 and reinstate us on the board. If someone is operating here, then Catherine's almost certainly supplying them out of Fallbrook. Perhaps she could be convinced to tell you where they are. That's part of the problem. She has certain ambitions for Stellar Bay, and I fear my asking her would give her the leverage she's been looking for.
Don't get yourself worked up, sir. It's perfectly natural to have a healthy fear of her.
We really don't need to discuss this now, Celia. Oh, I imagine you do. But as much as I love your can-do attitude and dangerous gravitas, Catherine handles all of our shipments. So it would be best if you could leave her in one piece. Is that how you people put it? Once you, subtly work out where this corporate facility might be, bring back proof of its operation. Maybe some nice letterhead. Or someone working there. That would do it. A foolproof plan if I ever heard one. I'll leave the execution to you. You're just as rigid as the old executive committee. Why,
When Graham finally shut up.
It isn't easy keeping a town like Stellar Bay afloat, especially... Indeed. That's why it's imperative that if we can find proof that one of the companies on the board is also... You have... This has been my albatross. The great shame of my career. I give MSI everything. My work, my youth, my left kidney, and for years, I was a joke to them. One of the executives required a transplant.
He's lucky they didn't want a liver or a heart.
I thought volunteering to donate might improve my prospects. Apparently not. Yeah, in charge of a scrap heap of a city. I hadn't thought of... Thank you for that. Was there something else? I'm sorry, who? Ah, them. They're hardly a corporation. More like a jumped-up band of thugs with certain pretensions. The evidence I'm hoping for would implicate one of the board powers. Anti-Cleos, Spacer's Choice, UDL, someone of that caliber.
Not that we don't appreciate your diligence.
Then it's good that I keep such meticulous notes. I've asked myself the same thing many times, especially seeing as the legal mechanisms we employed were part of the board's own bylaws. Not intentionally, though that's technically true. For many years, this planet was home to as many corporations as Terra 2. But back then, it was known as Terra 1. As you may have noticed, this planet has more than its share of hazards.
That ain't fair. They didn't leave on account of the hazards. They left on account of their cowardice. The hazards just gave them a reason to put to paper.
Sharp as ever, Nyoka. And as the other corporations began to tally their losses, they decided to pull out. Our leadership at the time certainly wanted to, but there were others of us who saw an opportunity, the chance to improve work. Ah, so you've heard about our prior acquaintance. As far as I'm concerned, the less said about Graham, the better. Graham seemed like a reasonable man years ago. And we both agreed that MSI's treatment of its workers was untenable. I thought reforms would be enough. I didn't realize you wanted to abolish the corporate system entirely. Reforms are humane, but they're also good business sense. Exhausted, sick, and malnourished workers are not productive workers. Even a cursory review of the data bears that out. Anyway, we learned of a loophole in the corporate bylaws that would allow MSI to claim ownership of the entire planet once the other corporations pulled out, creating the perfect environment for us to enact these new reforms. No, they laughed in our faces and insisted we'd be relocating to Terra 2 along with everyone else.
Excuse me.
Yes, some of us stayed behind, and as the most senior executive remaining, I ended up in charge of what was left of MSI.
Must have pissed off some real big suits to get stuck with that.
On the contrary, I wrote lots of very important reports on behalf of top MSI officials before I was able to achieve this position. I moved forward with our planned reforms, as well as our strategy to assume ownership of the planet. Yet not long after I renamed it Monarch, the other corporations dislodged us from the board and began an official campaign to paint us as lawless savages. I don't know. Everything we did was legal and above board. We followed their rules, and yet they still found reasons to declare us outlaws. I do think there's something useful in a governing body like the board. Something that keeps us from anarchy, but I dearly wish it functioned differently. Well, technically, he may have suggested it, but technically, he does. Until we're back on the board, I need to run those advertisements. If there's no... Why wouldn't anyone? They own nearly all the resources and infrastructure in Halcyon.
Yeah, that'd go a long way toward rebuilding our homes.
If you can't beat him, might as well join him and reach into their pockets.
To be on the board is to be part of the colonial community. And being cut off means slow strangulation. I'm not a man to put pride before progress. If membership on the board can ease our hardships... Besides, I'm hopeful that additional leverage... I've discovered it's much easier to negotiate from a position of power. And I don't mean to leave MSI or its people at a disadvantage. My hope is to maintain the reforms we've managed here, and who knows?
It's straight bullshit is what it is. A fabrication rich folks use to preserve their...
Nyoka has the right of it. It's a legal provision that gives the board the authority to cordon off and for the greater good. Yes, making all of MSI criminals in the board's eyes. Rather... What can I do? I see. And was his delivery of the MSI... Well, that's excellent. I'll see that your feedback makes it... What else can...
Why don't you grab a chair? Sure thing. I'm calling her bluff. If she wants to threaten us...
I wonder sometimes what they're doing on other colonies.
Uh-huh.
I think they're watching the same...
Okay.
Real slick.
Why don't you grab a chair? Sure thing. I never meant to call for anyone's head on a pike. Velma's not my favorite person, but she ain't devil at all. Now you got me feeling sorry for her. Fine. Tell Velma not to worry.
I'd give you a friendlier welcome, but I'm up to my elbows and...
Who spat in your spirit?
You notice my mood? I'm surprised you can see straight today.
I could be seeing triple and I'd still think you're being unkind.
Well, you try wrangling half a ton of dead fish with decades-old equipment and see what it does for your disposition. Anyway, what do you folks need? You know... Sweetest words I've heard all day. Thanks for your help. You've gotten me out of a tight spot here. Something else? Stealing such... And yeah, let's just... We're not like... Besides, the Spacer's Choice stuff we use is cheap enough. And Braxton no... Or...
thank you again for retrieving the bolt. Anyway, then it's... What can I do?
Lots of side skills to do, eh? I mean, lots of dialogue, that's why I wasn't speaking. So yeah, I'm going to help Hiram with the radio stuff.
Hey, Cass. Knock, knock.
Catherine's great, ain't she? She'll pull you out of the sulfur, so long as you don't mind being in her debt.
How's Clive? Sure. Might be I know something about it. Might be someone hired my crew to blind drop supplies on the Northern Bridge. Now that I consider it, I ain't heard from my delivery team and... What about it, aside from... You mean you can't just follow the stench trail or the squealing bloody... Once you're clear of the bridge, follow... Sure. I take it you don't have a reservation. No matter. I keep a suite of VIP rooms for visitors of your... Let's call it a certain means. The VIP rooms charge by the night. But for you, I'll make it a one-time fee. Got a feeling you'll make me a fine investment. Marvelous. Do take care of the place. Made certain...
What's up? What's with the pleasantries? You want to know? Yeah, at first we all thought it was about damn time. Then it got uglier than a rat eating a sour grape. They don't go to sleep at night with... Maybe... I'm not sure we need anything, Cap. Long as nobody... Progress requires... Anytime.
Alright, so time for me to be elsewhere. I will stream this next time. Thank you for watching. And well, yeah. Just thank you. See you next time.